reality, then every limitation you hold is one that you unconsciously built. And every breakthrough that you're chasing is just one little thought pattern away. Truths 1, 2, and 3 combine into a single explosive idea. If you're not separate, if fear isn't real, if your mind is essentially shaping everything, then the only thing standing between you and freedom is the part of you that believes otherwise. And this brings us to the most dangerous truth of all. The enemy is not the world. The enemy is the ego. So if those first 3 truths show you what you are, the 4th truth shows you what's been blocking you from the beginning. So the ego is the only real enemy here. It's the only enemy that you're going to face. No demons, no bad luck, no other people, not the world. Every ancient text, every mystic, all these enlightened teachers, they all gave us the exact same warning. The thing that we call us, the thing that you call you, is the thing that's hurting you. If we look in the Bhagavad Gita, we see the self must conquer the lower self. If we read Plato, he says, all sins come from excess self-love. If you read the words of Jesus, unless a man dies to himself, he cannot live. In the words of the Buddha, suffering begins with attachment to the self. In the Tao Te Ching, we see he who defines himself can't know who he truly is. Different continents, different countries, same diagnosis. The ego is not your personality or your identity. It's not your sense of I. Let me give you a definition of ego that's going to change your life if you adopt it. The ego is the story that you built to survive your fears. It's a mask, it's a guardrail, it's a little protective suit that we stitch together from trauma and insecurity and expectations and some conditioning. And that suit becomes our prison. But the ego desires one big thing: separation. It needs to feel separate to exist. Separate from other people, separate from the big universe, separate from the divine, separate from truth. The ego has to be able to compare. It feeds on better than, worse than, smarter than, more deserving than, more important than. So basically the ego needs 3 things. It needs hierarchy, conflict, and recognition. So it needs to win, to be right, to be special, to get defended by you. This is why it never shuts the F up. The ego is the voice that says they're judging you. You're not enough. You're falling behind. What if you lose everything? Or what if they don't like you? You need to prove yourself. You need more. You need control. But here's the ancient secret almost nobody realizes. The ego's entire existence is based on fear, and fear is already not real. This means that your ego is a hallucination. It's a survival instinct that doesn't understand who you actually are. You're the ocean. The ego is a ripple that thinks it's the entire Pacific Ocean. You are the divine. The ego is a child pretending to be the king. This is why every ancient tradition told you to let it go. Not because they wanted you to be moral or have some enlightenment and go out and buy linen pants and wooden bead necklaces and shit like that. They didn't want obedience or anything, or even purity. It's because you can't experience truth while you're holding on to something that isn't true. You can't be infinite while you're clinging on to a story that makes you small. You can't feel oneness while you're protecting a self that doesn't exist. You can't wake up while you're defending the dream. And once you drop the ego, even if it's for a little second, you'll feel something terrifying and beautiful. You never needed it. You were always complete. The armor was the wound. Ancient teachings weren't obsessed with humility. They were obsessed with liberation. And once the ego falls apart, the final truth appears immediately. And this is the final truth that ties the entire universe together. This is truth number 5. Everything is connected. This one shows up everywhere, from ancient temples to modern physics laboratories. Everything's connected. Everything is one system. Everything influences everything. That's how everything it gets. In the Hermetic texts, we see this principle of as above, so below. In the Kabbalah, we see all creation emerges from a single tree of life. In quantum physics, no particle is truly separate. Every particle has some entanglement. In Taoism, we see this idea of opposites are not enemies. They're complementary forces of the same source. In the Mayan Popol Vuh, this is where we see the universe is one living organism. In Buddhism, we have the concept of what's called interbeing. Nothing exists independently. And in Sufi mysticism, the soul is a thread in the same cosmic fabric. Even if you look at the Egyptian pyramid texts, we see the soul returns to the stars from which it came. In ancient Native American wisdom, they have a phrase that's, I think, pronounced Mitakuye Oyasin, which is, we are all relatives, essentially saying, with all beings, I am related. Nothing stands alone. So every action ripples, every emotion radiates, every intention vibrates through the whole. You are not some separate node in the universe. You're a neuron in a cosmic brain firing inside of infinity. And your life is not happening to you. Your life is happening with you, through you, and as you. And suddenly, all 5 truths click together like a lock snapping open. You're not separate. Fear is an illusion. Your mind shapes reality. Ego's the enemy. Everything is connected. So if all that's true, then you aren't a human trying to become spiritual. You are the universe temporarily being human. You're already spiritual. So everything you've ever been scared of, everything you've obsessed over, everything you've doubted in your life, everything that you've ever questioned before, comes down to remembering what you were before the world told you who to be. And that's what the ancients were trying to wake us up to. So if the ancients all knew this, if the truths were sitting in the open for thousands of years, how the hell did we lose it? How did humanity go from cosmic awareness to this psychological dumpster fire that we're living in today? It wasn't a conspiracy. Personally, I think it was something a lot simpler. It's much darker and it's a lot more human. We just forgot who the hell we were. We got hypnotized by who we thought we needed to be. So the moment that humans started building civilizations, we needed to gather a bunch of resources. We needed to protect our borders. We needed to survive these crazy harsh winters. Fear became a tool. And then, after tens of thousands of years, fear became a habit. And then fear became a culture. And everything that fear touches, obviously it corrupts. That's why every single ancient text, even the Bible, they warn us about the same exact traps of greed and ego and power and materialism and comparison, desire, control, and attachment. They weren't trying to teach us to be moral. This had nothing to do with being a moral person. They were describing psychological malware. In Tao Te Ching, when wealth and honors lead to arrogance, it brings evil. If you read the Quran, you're going to see, do not commit abuse on the earth, spreading corruption. In the Bible, it says, do not store up treasures on earth. You read the Buddha, and it says, clinging is the root of suffering. Every tradition saw this coming. The moment humans forgot who they were, they tried to fill this emptiness with every single thing they can except the truth. And that's exactly what we did as a people. We built entire civilizations on top of a lie that we're separate. These giant economies on top of the lie that we're all lacking. And we all built identities on the lie that we're not enough. The ego that starts off as a small little tribal safety mechanism became this global operating system. We started comparing and competing and hoarding and fearing and posturing, consuming, scrolling, performing. We turned life into a weird little scoreboard, and we made success a really, really good-looking costume. And we traded all of our meaning for dopamine. We replaced being still and mindful, maybe just, let's call it boredom. We replaced boredom and silence with lots and lots of noise and distractions. But I think the biggest one of all is we stopped asking, who am I? And we started asking, who do they think I am? We traded a lot of truth for distraction. And the worst part is the distractions got really, really effing good. Scary, sexy, addictively good. So we engineered apps that hijack our nervous system. We have new